per day per prisoner. And that's why I said that we should open the debate. I know there are certain legislation and everything, but let's open the debate. Let us hear what the people of South Africa...
The unfolding tensions within the ANC following Correctional Services Minister Pieter Groenewald's aggressive rollout of self-sufficient prison programs, especially bakeries, and the backlash from ANC-connected entrepreneurs, MPs, and ministers whose businesses have been hit hard. This story goes beyond policy. It's about power, profit, rehabilitation, and the fragile balance between reform and community interests. Let's unpack it layer by layer. Start with the big picture. In the mid-year of 2025, Minister Pieter Groenewald unveiled a bold initiative at Westville Correctional Center in Durban, a fully operational bakery built at the cost of roughly 7 million rand, capable of producing 3,840 loaves a day at about R8 per loaf. That's a huge drop from the R23 per loaf previously paid to external suppliers, translating into an estimated R3 million annual savings for that facility alone. This is part of a larger self-sufficiency drive that includes not only bakeries but also agriculture, textile, furniture, and other in-house production initiatives. Across prisons nationally, the program is said to have saved taxpayers around R500 million in the past year. The plan aims to bring the total number of prison bakeries to 20 by 2028. On paper, it sounds transformative. Inmates gain vocational skills, compensation ranging from R2 to R9 per day, and the department cuts recurring costs. The Correctional Services Act even mandates education and vocational training for inmates, framing programs like this as crucial for rehabilitation and reducing recidivism. Indeed, union groups like PopCrew have called the bakery rollout long overdue, pointing at outsourcing as expensive and prone to corruption. They see this as a step toward cleaner, fairer correctional services. Yet, the reforms haven't occurred in a vacuum. Behind the scenes, they've disrupted established contracts held by ANC-affiliated small and medium enterprises, many of them long involved in supplying goods and services like baked products to prisons. Reports suggest that several of these businesses have now closed abruptly, and stakeholders say their livelihoods have been killed by the sudden shift in policy. A key point of contention: many of these operators say they weren't properly consulted before their contracts were terminated. Some ANC insiders, ministers and MPs included, are now voicing frustration over what they see as top-down decisions that overlooked economic ramifications for local entrepreneurs. There's political unrest brewing, with rumblings in committees and caucuses about demanding explanations or even pushing for policy reversals. Although Minister Groenewald hasn't publicly responded to the backlash yet, analysts predict heated debates and possible calls for a more measured, inclusive approach. Beyond the politics, the human dimension marks the heart of this conflict. The closure of outsourced operations strikes at more than profit. It affects communities, established business networks, and the trust between government and party-affiliated stakeholders. The risk? That cost-saving reforms, if rolled out without inclusivity, fragment party unity and erode small business confidence in future PPPs. To fully grasp the implications, let's zoom out for context. The Department of Correctional Services has long struggled with overcrowding, aging infrastructure, budget cuts, and slow rehabilitation outcomes. Fewer than 7% of sentenced inmates currently access work or training programs like farming or baking, even though such programs are tied to lower violence and better reintegration. And many inmates are paid paltry sums, sometimes less than R150 to R250 per month, even when working daily. From Groenewald's perspective, underfunded, underused public-private schemes no longer suffice. The logic: internalize operations to cut red tape, reduce corruption risk, train inmates meaningfully, and reallocate budgets toward transformative programs. With departmental funding slashed by over R11 billion in recent years, such efficient approaches carry weight. But there are real challenges. Reports reveal that even as bakeries multiply, funds for repairs, training, staffing, and ingredients lag behind. Construction and maintenance suffer due to insufficient capital. Backlog and breakdowns still force the department to occasionally rely on external suppliers. These weaknesses underline the complexity of scaling self-sufficiency within a constrained budget. Meanwhile, the voiceless actors, displaced small business owners, are mounting pressure. They argue reforms are economically unbalanced, politically insensitive, and socially disruptive. If their concerns gather momentum, the ANC may have to navigate a complicated path forward, honoring reform while salvaging livelihoods. Looking ahead, we're likely to see several possible scenarios. First, ANC ministers and MPs may compel less abrupt rollouts, perhaps adopting phased transitions, hybrid models, or partnerships where private contractors can integrate with prison production lines. Shared ventures may soften the blow and preserve jobs while advancing reform. Second, if the pushback intensifies without concessions, the matter could trigger formal parliamentary inquiries. Questions over procurement fairness, economic displacement, and rehabilitation ethics may emerge in committee hearings or through the oversight structures. Third, if Groenewald's approach demonstrates measurable success, lower costs, improved rehabilitation, reduced recidivism, and fewer corruption cases, the momentum might tilt heavily toward internalization. Political resistance could wane if results become tangible and public trust in the program strengthens. Yet, success depends on execution. Are bakeries functional across regions? Are inmates receiving meaningful certifications? Are displaced businesses supported or retrained? Is there transparency in procurement and dialogue with affected parties? Only well-managed rollout can mitigate political fallout. Going beyond models or mandates, the story here is about resiliency within institutions and communities. The displaced entrepreneurs are not faceless. Many have close ties to ANC structures, local communities, and public-private networks. Their exclusion may reverberate across ANC's support base. At its best, the reform could spark a new era of socially inclusive, efficiency-driven public services, where inmate rehabilitation, cost savings, and local enterprise form a virtuous cycle. At its worst, it risks alienating core ANC constituencies and creating internal friction just as critical services undergo transformation. As viewers, we can ask, what balance should policymakers strike between reform and inclusion? How can governments manage change without collateral damage? And crucially, what voices must be part of the conversation before policy decisions are finalized? Thank you for diving into this with me. I'll keep monitoring developments, committee hearings, ANC caucus reactions, and how affected entrepreneurs respond. If you found this breakdown useful, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss what comes next. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you support prison bakeries? How should officials handle displaced businesses? Let's get into it together. Until next time, let's stay curious, engaged, and committed